Hey everybody, today we're going to be looking at the Grand Tournament expansion.
We're going to be reviewing the Priest, Rogue, and Shaman cards in 5 minutes or less.
Starting now. Holy Champion.
Light of the Naru effect with Senjin stats. I think it's a little too slow. Flash heal.
Comparable to Light of the Naru, I think Light of the Naru might be better, but this might combo well with Akanai Priest, or Soul Priest. Power Word Glory.
I compare it to Blessing of Wisdom, the Paladin card. It seems a little too situational and not impactful enough. Spawn of Shadows.
Overall, not that good. Needs 6 mana to pull off 4 damage to each hero, and it hurts you in the long run as well, so not worth it. Wormrest Agent.
Good in Dragon decks, but if the meta slows down, it's not very good. Convert.
I think it's okay, but I think it might cost too much, especially considering you'll be paying 2 more for a card that the enemy already played, when I think you could just run Faceless Manipulator and it'd be probably better. Confuse.
I think it's really hard to pull off. I can't really think of a scenario where it's really, really good. Don't think it's good. Shadow Fiend.
I think Priest has too many 3-drops as it is, and to actually get a combo going where you can draw a lot of cards would be way too hard and not worth it in the long run. Confessor Palatrus.
I think it's way too slow. Too much mana for a 5/4. Maybe you can combo it with the Fencing Coach, but not my favorite. Now on to the Rogue cards. Shadowpan Cavalry.
I think it's interesting. If you get the combo off, it's pretty much a Boulder Fist Ogre for 5 mana. I think it'd be really good in Arena, but in a constructed Rogue control deck, probably not good enough. It depends on what the meta shifts to. Undercity Valiant.
Really comparable to the SI7 agent, kind of a smaller version of it. I think it could see some play. Buccaneer.
If Rogue Pirates ever becomes a thing, then maybe it's comparable to the Goblin Auto Barber, and it more consistent, I guess, 'cause it's not a battle cry, but I just don't see Rogues ever becoming a pirate deck, which Hearthstone or Blizzard's trying to make it be. Burgle.
Sort of like a thought steal for Rogue. Really interesting for a control Rogue. If that ever takes off, this would probably be pretty like a staple. Cut Purse.
I don't think it's good enough. To get it to actually make it worthwhile, it'd have to survive 2 turns. I think it would just die before that. And as well, to actually make it stay alive would be way too hard. Shady Dealer.
Doesn't seem impactful enough, but I guess if Pirate Rogue becomes a thing, it'd be pretty insane. Poison Blade.
Probably the shittiest card in the expansion. To actually make it worthwhile, to make it comparable to an Assassin's Blade, you need to get your hero power off, I think, 3 or 4 times. And way too slow, way too much mana to even get it worthwhile. Beneath the Grounds.
Sort of like a Iron Juggernaut sort of effect. Seems pretty good in a mill or control Rogue deck. Anubarak.
Probably one of the lower tier legendaries in this expansion. Way too high cost with way too little health. Granted, you get a 4/4 Nubrium whenever it dies, but I don't think that's really worthwhile putting it out for 9 mana every turn. Moving on to the Shaman class cards. Tuskar Totemic.
A lot of people, I think, are overrating this. It seems a lot like the Razorfen Hunter, which is pretty shitty. Good in totem decks, but other than that, not very good. Totem Golem.
I think it's really good if the meta stays more aggro-based, because then Shaman actually has a 2-drop that answers to a lot of the Hunter's early game. So it would be decent in a more control-y deck, especially with the Totem synergy that's coming around. Ancestral Knowledge.
Good for like a Malagos deck. Maybe too much overload for it, though. Thunderbluff Valiant.
If totem decks ever become a thing, it'd be interesting. Basically, you're paying 5 mana for a 3/6 and then a 2/2 or a 1 or a 2/1. Draining Totem Carver.
You need at least 2 totems to make it worthwhile. Too hard to pull off. Healing Wave.
Interesting against aggro. If it goes against a control class, it'd be pretty shit because you will never really need that much health. But if you get it in the early game against an aggro deck, it can pretty much save you. Charged Hammer.
Too much mana and too slow. Probably not going to see play. Elemental Destruction.
It's pretty much like an early game Flame Strike, but it also kills all your own minions. I think it really gives Lava Shock some value for once. But besides that, I really don't see it becoming a staple in any control deck. The Mistcaller.
Seems way too slow. Too much mana for 4/4. Competing against Sylvanas and Emperor Thorson. Just not good enough.
And that's it for our Priest, Rogue, and Shaman cards. We're going to be doing the rest of the classes later, so stick around for those.